It's time for your favorite housing TV show, Housing Development. Glad to have you join me on another informative episode of the program. As always, I am your housing diva, Fleur Annie. Before we delve into our lineup for today, let's see the news making rounds in the sector.
Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, has said that for Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, to successfully carry out its duty, it must recover its non-performing loans, charging all loan defaulters to pay back outstanding debts, noting that a situation whereby recapitalization has failed, the only alternative is to recover all non-performing loans to facilitate the bank's operations. The executive director of HDAN, Mr. Festus Adebayo, made this known recently in Abuja as a new recovery strategy must be adopted to get the loans back. According to him, since all efforts to get FMBN recapitalized have not been successful, HDAN has considered it a responsibility as a non-governmental organization and the leading housing advocacy firm in Africa to charge all those owing FMBN to ensure swift repayment of all loans to enable the mortgage bank have enough capital resources to embark on new projects. Africa International Housing Show, AIHS, has reiterated its readiness to engage political aspirants and policy makers in the country while mapping out agenda for the housing sector ahead of the 2023 elections, following its resolution to hold a political forum that would focus on housing sustainability at the 16th edition of the AIHS event coming up from 25th to 28th July 2022 at the International Conference Center, Abuja. Speaking during an exclusive interview recently in Abuja, the convener of the event, Mr. Festus Adebayo, reiterated that quite a number of speakers and housing experts within and outside Nigeria have been invited to engage political aspirants and policymakers to chart a new path to tackling the nation's housing gap. According to him, agenda setting has formed a cardinal component of public opinion, and accurate evaluation as such is important to public policy consideration, which is why Nigerians must set the agenda for the politicians seeking elective positions in 2023 in respect to delivery of affordable and sustainable housing in Nigeria. Minister of State for Works and Housing, Moazu Jaji Sambo, has instructed the Federal Housing Authority, FHA, to develop a bill of quantities that will guarantee completion of the ongoing 764-unit mass housing project in Zuba, the Federal Capital Territory. The project, comprising one block of two-bedroom apartments, is a pointer that will cater for the Zuba mass housing program. The Honorable Minister made this known during a visit to the project site to ascertain the progress of work on the estate. He, however, advised that efforts be doubled on planting trees at the sites where the construction kicked off to enable a simultaneous growth alongside progress of the project, as the estate is at 98% completion with standard infrastructure such as roads and drainages, external water distribution network, and basic amenities. The Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, NIEVS, has elected Mr. Jombul Amayebo as its new president. His emergence was announced at the institution's 52nd annual conference held recently in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Executive Director, Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, Mr. Festus Adebayo, in his congratulatory message, reiterated the need to have competent and skilled hands at the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers helm of affairs, as this need cannot be negotiated, describing Mr. Amayebo, being NIEV's president, as a round peg in a round hole, expressing the hope that the new position will bring alongside his vast professional experience and impressive leadership abilities. It is believed that he will perform excellently well in his new role.
To read the full details of the news and more, visit www.africanhousingnews.com. The Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service recently held a public hearing on a bill seeking the establishment of the Chartered Institute of Mortgage Bankers and Brokers of Nigeria. The senator representing Ogun West Senatorial District and the sponsor of the bill, Senator Tolulokpe Odebi, said the bill, if passed into law, will raise the profile and value of mortgage banking as a profession, as well as confer on the association a hallmark of trust and quality. Our correspondent has more details on that report.
The senator representing Ogun West Senatorial District, Senator Tolulokpe Odebi, has said that the chartered status of the Mortgage Bankers Association of Nigeria will enhance mortgage affordability and boost financial inclusion in the mortgage banking sector. Speaking at the public hearing, the sponsor of the bill, Senator Tolulokpe, stated that the bill is aimed at producing qualified mortgage individuals and provide expert opinion and policy in the sector.
The fundamental functions and objectives of this bill are geared towards creating a platform which will produce qualified, dedicated, skilled, and professionally trained mortgage individuals that will be involved in the management of mortgage lending, as well as teach and lecture mortgage banking using international best practices and well-vetted curricula. The advent of the Institute will allow a strong mortgage management institution and provide a core professional risk management platform for practitioners. The Institute will help to entrench appropriate skill sets required to promote right mortgage culture, provide expert opinion, and support public discourses and policy.
President of the Mortgage Bankers Association of Nigeria, Ebilate Makiyoroki, in an interview said that the bill will regulate and address the mortgage and housing sector of Nigeria. He further stated that the citizens won't be left behind in benefiting from the bill.
The benefit of this bill for Nigerians means that Nigerians will now have professionals who will practice mortgage banking, to provide houses for Nigerians, and also help to provide funds that can make these houses available for those who need them.
Other stakeholders also gave their justification for the bill.
The benefit of this law is that we will be well standing in the midst of all the chartered institutes of, surveyors and whatever. Number two, the opportunity to deepen the mortgage industry will be there. The opportunity to also get funding that has been lacking is there. The opportunity to extend even the timing of mortgages, that we're booking, will be there. And we know that when that happens, then we can say that breaching of the gap of the housing stock we have will become a thing of the past.
There has housing deficit in excess of over 22 million. Of course, this is a step in the right direction. It will enable us to ensure that we have access to more support even from external resources from outside this country. Because as a chartered institute, there will be more support, and we can see how we can ensure that we can come up with all the resources and work with all stakeholders, local and external, to ensure that the average Nigerian can own homes and Nigerians can become homeowners.
Other supporters of the bill are representatives of the Financial System Strategy, Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, Development Bank of Nigeria, and other relevant private and public institutions in the housing and financial services sector.
Are you into real estate, building designs and architecture, mortgage banking and finance, property development, home finishing, tiles and ceramics, sales of building materials, and so on? Are you wondering how to get across to the perfect selling market? Don't dare miss this opportunity to be a part of the largest housing and construction expo in Africa, the International Conference Center, Abuja. Come for the opportunity to network, exhibit, and make sales. Africa International Housing Show, bringing high caliber of investors, developers, experts, and speakers. With the theme, Housing for All, the role of government in creating an effective enabling environment, from the 25th to 28th of July 2022, all under one roof. For more information, visit our website at www.ihsabuja.com or call 0816 657 0090. Africa International Housing Show, the largest housing event in Africa.
Welcome back. The program is Housing Development. The growing effects of climate change has left countries struggling with numerous environmental challenges. It has displaced millions of people from their houses as ocean surge, thunderstorm, extreme hotness, flooding during changing climate has caused hostile situations in countries like Nigeria, where the preservation of the environment is downplayed. Experts have warned that if left unchecked, it will cause more havoc in the housing sector and country at large. Take a listen.
The Nigerian climate has been irregular over the years, alternating between periods of extreme dry or rainy season. Climate change in Nigeria has led to seasons of drought and excess flooding, which threatens the country's economic growth and caused loss of lives and properties. These issues have over time become worrisome.
We're not just looking at flooding now. Let's look at high winds, storm. At the onset of every rainfall, this usually happens. You will see a lot of homes being blown up by winds, very strong winds. And why? It's climate related, but we are also part of the problem. What did we do? If an estate is springing up now, all the trees that are supposed to act as windbreaks are usually cut down and none is replanted. So when the wind comes, there's nothing to slow down the speed of the wind. So it carries off the roof of houses.
In the FCT, the menace is not different. Most areas in the city have continuously been affected by flooding, displacing properties and leaving some houses submerged.
Around Durumi Road, Gadua Estate, water has been taking houses there a lot, taking so many lives, people's lives, children, people moving around. Water has been destroy them.
Most of the houses that they build around here, the water used to pack the houses. When it come with the force, both the road myself, sometimes motor have to wait for some times after the water stop. Maybe it pass more when the road open before motors started to pass.
Nigeria has to mitigate the negative impact of climate change at the individual and national level. Environmentalists have advised that the mitigation should involve enforcing the Nigerian climate change policy.
What we have done in Abuja and in most parts of the country is that people knowingly, I would say in the case of Abuja, will just encroach into natural waterways and natural water paths, build on it. And the fact is that water must find its course. And so, when it comes, there's flooding. We have natural areas, we have green areas, we have natural waterways, right? Now, all that is needed is to clearly mark out these areas and ensure that development don't take place and enforce it. It's not just going back to sit and then when there's crisis then you come, but it's to enforce and continuous monitoring to ensure that people don't encroach into those natural pathways.
The onus is on the federal government to collaborate with relevant stakeholders to ensure that policies are revised and implemented based on current environmental challenges. There should also be public awareness to educate citizens on the negative impact of climate change and how to avert emerging problems.
name is Engineer Mecca Moma Eze, Officer of the Federal Republic, former President, Nigerian Society of Engineers, Chairman, Board of Trustees, Nigerian Society of Engineers. I want to assure you that I will be at 16th African International Housing Show, coming up on 25th to 28th July at International Conference Center, Abuja. You must be there because I will be there to welcome you. So I urge you to be sure you're there. 16th African International Housing Show. Please be there.
Welcome back. Before renting out a property in Nigeria, it is important that you create a tenancy agreement with a tenant. The prospective landlord will also provide a tenancy agreement to you when you become a tenant. The landlord's lawyer can also prepare the tenancy agreement on behalf of the landlord and present it to you on arrival. But then, how many tenants read through the tenancy agreement before signing the document? Let's find out on Voices on the Street.
Tenancy agreements, the agreements that your landlord gives you, right? Okay. Before I sign anything, even if it's not tenancy agreement, I do go through it and read it to see if I'm signing my death sentence. So I do go through it before signing it.
You definitely have to read before you actually sign. It's because there are some landlords that really want to put some certain things into it that maybe I should just look at it as hidden agreements. You understand? That if you don't read it, you won't know it. You understand? So you have to read so that you know the implication of what you are bargaining for. In case you enter the house, and if there's a kind of a situation that will emanate either between you and the landlord, then you have to, as in, really shout out. I think that's fair. It's okay to read it before signing any agreement with a landlord.
Frankly speaking, majority of the people don't go through the agreement before they sign. Sometimes it may be because of their desperate looking for a house, and sometimes it may be as a result of not well acquainted with the terms using the agreement, because it takes a legally minded person to understand the terms of the tenancy agreement. And because of that, some landlords normally hide behind the legal terms to conceal some of the basic things they need to let the tenant know about the agreement before they sign.
I do go through it. Sometimes when you collect something like that, you have to go through it and know what is really inside the tenancy agreement for you to know the laws that the landlord is placing on the house that you want to rent.
Anything agreement, whether tenancy or whatever agreement, you are ought to go through it. Why? Because agreement is a covenant. And if you don't get it right, it affects you. You definitely guys go through any agreement before you agree.
I don't normally go through it, but sometimes you see that they will pack many pages. The write-up will be much. I'll just go the necessary ones and leave the rest. An issue we have last week, the landlord just brought a quick notice of 3 weeks, which my money is supposed to finish around September, and they are giving me quick notice because of we complained that we don't have water in that house. So I have to draw attention of my lawyer to call attention on a lawyer to intervene on the issue pertaining the agreement. So when they started discussing about it, my lawyer asked me, "Did you go through the tenancy agreement?" I say no. So you see, that one is my own fault. So it's very good for everyone. If you are renting any house, any household shops, you're supposed to go through it. Make sure you have time for that. Even if you don't have time, you can take it to any lawyer to go through it. It's very, very important to go through that tenancy agreement before you pay for the rent.
Voices on the street there. A tenancy agreement must be requested for before moving into any property, residential or commercial. It is a binding legal document which has important implications on the committed rights and obligation on the part of both the landlord and the tenant. The terms of a tenancy agreement must be carefully considered before signing, and as a tenant, you are entitled to receive a copy of the signed agreement. I'll be back in a moment.
They say there's beauty in chaos. It's true. The simplest things make up the most complex things. Or places, these simple things even turn out to be the most advanced, offering a modern, urban island experience, perfect for business or pleasure. Because sometimes there's business in Victoria Island, and sometimes you just want some quiet at the beach. I bet it's pretty easy to do both when they're just 2 kilometers away. You know, everything is easier when you have peace of mind, and we know just where to find it. Urban Shelter, setting the pace.
Welcome back. Let you know you're still with me. The 16th Africa International Housing Show will present a political forum with one of the famous housing experts in the world, Director of the International Housing Finance Program, Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, USA, Dr. Hawksmith Maja. Dr. Maja will engage political aspirants and policymakers in the country at the 16th AIHS, while also mapping out a agenda with a visible framework to actualize the agenda for the housing sector ahead of the 2023 elections. As the next election approaches, it is time to reawaken Nigerians to the importance of electing competent and credible housing-minded leaders who will ensure justice and fairness for all, as well as peace and unity in the nation. AIHS Political Forum will avail participants and Nigerians at large the opportunity to assess who leads them while also holding their leaders accountable when necessary, based on the promises made in relation to their manifestos. Be part of the AIHS 2022 Special Political Forum with Dr. Smith Maja. Let's change the housing narrative in Nigeria collectively on the 25th to the 28th of July 2022 at the International Conference Center, Abuja, Nigeria. Now here's a quick one from AIHS.
Africa International Housing Show is Africa's biggest housing and construction expo. It has emerged as the largest housing and construction event showcased out of Nigeria, with over 30,000 participants every year. The show features product presentation, an exhibition of science, technology and innovation, building technology for affordable housing, modern construction, among others. The event gives exhibitors the opportunity to introduce new products and meet the right buyers. The event has paraded the highest number of professionals and government functionaries. The African International Housing Show creates opportunity for the exchange of ideas and proffering of solutions to various barriers of housing development. It creates opportunity for direct exchanging of finances, potential partners and investors from all over the world. Over the years, companies who are leading brands in the housing industry have competed to be among the sponsors as they see this platform as the best place to be when it comes to the housing industry in Africa. The next edition of the show comes up on the 25th to 28th of July 2022. Missing this unique opportunity is not an option. Register today at www.ihsabuja.com or call +234 816 657 0090 for more inquiries. Africa International Housing Show, the largest housing and construction event in Africa. Be there.
As Access to housing is an important determinant of quality of life and human welfare, one that is both crucial to family well-being and essential to the overall health of the people. Investment in affordable housing construction currently remains far below the level of public offers. Yet another avenue to reduce the cost of housing development is to have an improved business environment for investors. Let's make housing a top priority in Nigeria. On that note, I wrap up today's episode of the program. Thanks for watching. I remain your housing diva, Fleur Annie. See you soon.